G'day! In today's video I got myself some GD900 thermal grease, and this stuff is meant to be fairly comparable to the Z5 deep cool thermal paste I've been using for a little while now. One advantage of this is, this cost me about $8 to $9 a syringe. This cost me about $6. And this contains, I'm not sure how many grams it mentions on there, but it's going to contain considerably more. Oh, there we go. 30 grams versus, what have we got here? 3 grams. 10 times the amount in here. And if this can have a very similar amount of performance, I will be switching to this for most of my repastes, being actually do a large amount of them. I guess that's what you kind of do when you have a shop that deals with computers. Usually doing repairs and upgrades. Which means in turn you're always using thermal paste. Let's have a look at its consistency. Oh, that went up. That was a lot more full than I thought it was going to be. I thought the bottom of the pot was here. No, it's filled to the lid. That's a pretty fat lid too. What's this stuff feel like? I'll get a... Feels like thermal grease, that's for sure. Reasonably runny consistency to it. Fairly similar to most of the thermal paste I'm used to using, or at least the stuff that I like to use. There is some thermal paste I get, like this Thermalright TF4. It feels really solidy and really like goopy. I'm not sure the way to describe that one. But anyway, I've got an Acer here that's getting some new thermal paste put onto its Ryzen 5 5500U. I've already got the battery disconnected. Just going to clean it with some IPA. Some tissues and a toothbrush. And then we'll get some thermal paste on here. Clean and clean-ish. Go. Could have another drink. And we'll give it a little bit of a brush. Some people call me a fool for using a toothbrush. There is a chance of damaging the little chips that are on top of the CPU, but I don't see it really any different to applying a stupid amount of pressure going over a tissue, as the bristles will move out of the way of the individual gaps. However, just brute forcing it with your tissue paper to clean up all that thermal paste, I suspect you're going to have a higher chance of damaging something. That's looking all right. So the star of the show, the GD900, is fairly runny. I'm not too sure how much I'm going to actually need to use. I'll start with simply that. Put some of that back in the pot. That just dropped on there quite easily. If I had to gauge between solid and sloppy, I would put this more towards the sloppy aspect. Which means it kind of self-levels itself. I did a bit too much over there. With it being so goopy and it's coming out of a pot, it's a bit harder to scrape around and apply into the correct spot, as you see with me dribbling it down here. Overall, of how gooey it is, I'm quite happy with it being really unlevel right there, just by how watery it seemed. I would say it's probably going to seal up just fine once I put that cooler over it. I haven't done any before temperatures. I'm more curious to see how this initially spread. I guess we'll also find out how well it cleans up. Not bad. Grab my brush again. A little bit of paper in there. Ready to go. I think I'll just start this again. I'll sacrifice this paste. Maybe a little bit too on the goopy side, or the watery side. But I am also used to using the Deep Cool Z5 Thermal Paste, which is a lot tackier. So I just put it down to more experience, being it's a pot of 30 grams of the stuff. We've got plenty of it to use to try and perfect. So I'll try that one more time. Even that is probably enough. Just kind of tacking it on there. Bugger, I've gone down to the ICs again. Yeah, very drizzly. And of course I've gotten under the ICs again once more. What I want to do now is just push that cooler down, lift it off and have a look and see how it has gone. Actually, the suction of it on there is pretty good. So now I'm going to leave that actually. And I'll fire it up, do a reinstall in the machine as it is a new machine, or at least to me. And we'll check out and see what temperature I can get averaging. Granted, that'd be coming off the integrated Radian chip. Okay. While I'm here, I'll add some more RAM in and we'll check that out. Here we go. So I've just finished reinstalling Windows on here. Done a driver update, done a BIOS update. Currently we're running off the power pack, which is a 45 watt power pack on here. I'm not sure what this actually is meant to require. The temperature will vary anywhere from about 45 up to about 60 degrees right now. Granted, it's not overly thinking compared to what it was. But as a very rough comparison, I've got a Lenovo IdeaPad here, also running a 5500U. This one's set for power saving, and it's just been turned on. It's been ice cold, hasn't really done anything. I've just switched it on after having it sit on a shelf for a while, and it's at 36.6. Granted, that was off, so that hasn't done any form of thinking. This one over here has been doing Windows updates and been going quite wild for quite some time. We're sitting at 44. So it's not really comparing apples to apples, it's close. They're both 5500Us. The processor, the wattage profile is probably different on this compared to over here. We're now 38, 43. I'll run a stress test. Actually, I don't know where the power cable is for the Lenovo. Right now, being how this can happily go up and down depending. I'll do a little bit more testing on this one. What I've done is I've just let it cool down for about only 2-3 minutes. And we seem to be stabilising. So right now we're 39 degrees, 38. Fan's kicking in slightly, I believe. Right now we are running off battery, similar to what the Lenovo was doing, which in turn is giving a similar kind of temperature. I don't know, maybe I need to mix the thermal paste a bit more before I applied it rather than just skimming the top. It was fresh to me just the other day, so presumably it was pretty fresh itself. But I might experiment a bit more off camera with this thermal paste, but right now it's going to an alright temperature. So I'll see how it goes as my go-to thermal paste in the next few weeks or so. It gives me some very similar temps. I'm going to be very happy. Anyway, that will do for now, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.